Travis Wingoodsell. It is getting cooler. It was a perfect temperature for running this morning. And Sirius is kicking Venus's butt. It's taken a major lead and ever increasing, because even though the days are shortening so that the nights are lengthening, trying to cheat for Venus, Venus is still crashing hard. And so yes, in the likeness of things on earth, Mormons, that comes from Joseph Smith, of which you no longer believe in. You do not believe in Joseph, because you don't agree with me on in the likeness of things on the earth. That came from him, guys. I am concerned, though. At the beginning of the coronavirus, I had a number of subscribers who were following my videos, and one particular who said she was passing my videos along through her YouTube channel. I reached out to her the other day, as somebody else had been commenting on that same channel, which I saw that she had once commented, and I have not yet heard back from her. She had informed me near the beginning of the coronavirus that her, I believe it was her daughter, maybe sister, a direct family member, had been in contact with somebody who tested positive for coronavirus. And she was concerned of the fake news reports that were going around at that time. And I tried to inform her of the medical professionals who were telling us that you quarantine if you test positive, you isolate when you've been in contact with somebody who is now tested positive. You isolate for the sole purpose of checking to see if you exhibit the symptoms. And if you don't exhibit the symptoms and you are A positive, or asymptomatic, which means without symptoms, the A coming from the Greek. You make sure you isolate for the required time of at least 2 weeks. There have been some reports that it's even lasting longer, but I've not heard follow-ups on that. But again, this is all brand new to everybody. But again, like I said, I have not heard back from her. She is among the elderly, and so that's concerning, as Herbert had put up in, it was in May, wasn't it? There's July's, and June, yeah, May 14th, that's when they started it. And they said that they had 97 facilities already testing positive. There's only 101 facilities in Utah, which means almost all facilities. And by the 16th, they surpassed them. It was 104, which means 3 facilities who they claimed had recovered got reinfected. They're not telling us that information, because they're not telling us how many facilities there are in Utah. I had to Google search that information. 101. That's all there is. So now that we're well over 100 or 400, that means these facilities keep getting reinfected over and over and over again. They're not recovering. They're not stopping the virus. They're not protecting the elderly in these facilities. And so the numbers just keep piling up as they get reinfected. That's the sad truth of what's really going on. And they're not informing us of who had died previous to that 97 facilities. That's something they're not telling you either. And so, yes, I'm deeply concerned. And remember, Herbert and Nelson are to blame for this. Don't put it all on Trump, because I know you want to put it all on Trump, right? God, he tells you to inject yourself with disinfectants. And you think, oh yeah, Trump, cool, 2024, 16 more years. I mean, dear God, you guys are anti-American. Literally. You hate America. You don't just hate humans. You hate America. America first, my ass. And so with the death threat that I received by you, Pacer, the other day also, it's clear Mormons believe the lies. And in believing the lie, they then act on that lie. Because you act on what you believe in. That's how you live your lives, guys. That's how we all live our lives. That's why it's important to fact check our beliefs. That's why Alma chapter 32, starting in verse 28, is so crucial to everyone's life. Just because you have a belief in a word does not mean that that word is true. You have to produce the results of that word. And the results will tell you. And so, it's a very simple process, Mormons. Those of you who are anti-vaxxer, or that too, anti-maskers, what has been the result of sending your kids to school without wearing masks? Oh, right. We're now over 1,000 on a regular basis for new cases. That's how simple it is. You now know that not wearing a mask during a pandemic, ooh, that's a bad idea. It results in new cases, skyrocketing new cases, and deaths. And so you throw that word away, and you never resurrect it. And if you have to, you make sure that you write about it and how bad and horrible it is, so that other people can read your word, so that other people can then test it to confirm that it is also bad, as you have said, as you become a witness. And the thing is that you're not supposed to become a witness about all things evil and bad and dangerous. The whole point of Alma chapter 32, starting in verse 28, is that you become a witness for all things good and true. I've been seen too many times in churches throughout this valley. And as yesterday's was testimony meeting, fast and testimony meeting, people getting up and bearing their testimony of how they know certain things are bad and wrong to do, as if they're confessing their sins and trying to claim to the audience that they have repented and they won't do it again. The Rameumptom pulpits are not the place for confessions. Yes, Rameumptom. Oh yeah, the Zoramite thing, right. Yeah, now you remember. Alma. Right. And so, yeah, that's why there's jokes about having a little bingo card of what people will say in their testimonies. A rote testimony, like rote prayers that Mormons have as well. Prayer number 63 for the morning breakfast prayer. We are grateful for the night's sleep. We are grateful for this food. We ask thee to bless it, that it may nourish and strengthen our bodies. Alrighty, so the church has been served. I had to go through the previous lawyers because Kurt and McConkie have denied us from reaching out to them with their general email, or at least denied me. But I made sure to put it in the information about it to explain why I was emailing both the previous lawyers. Whether they get reassigned, we have no idea yet. But they've been served, and so pay attention to the church news. I will be paying attention to the church news, as I did the Sport in the Woody video last night. God. And it wasn't even the leaders of the church. It was Mormons who have had their lives destroyed, then reached out to help the Navajo Nation. And so in that, it was a good story. But the underlining message is that the church leaders abandoned Mormons. There was nothing to this date about the church helping out. The church helping out. You hear all about, oh, they're giving charity to the people who suffered during the hurricane. I think it was Laura this time, wasn't it? And then they are helping in places where monsoonal flooding had occurred. But Utah, with our great storm that took Mormon lives, nothing. No report whatsoever that the church helped anybody, not even lifted a finger for anyone in this valley. And yet Mormons still give their trust and love to the church leaders. That's how much they've got the members of the church brainwashed. And that worries me as we near this presidential election. Because when it comes out that the QAnon deep state is the Mormon church, pay attention. What is QAnon misleading the populace with? That this deep state are aliens from outer space, not from another country, from outer space. That they're involved in satanic worship, and that they are pedophiles. Those are the trilogy of the QAnon deep state misinformation campaign that came from Russia. Russia came up with it, guys. I told you, Russia is involved with the church. Nelson himself said, and a major city yet to be determined in Russia. Right then, my jaw dropped. The audience was cheering. You can hear them. My jaw dropped in horror, because I knew exactly what that meant. Nelson got the church compromised. And so my own fellow neighbors on Facebook were spreading the misinformation. I'd rather be Russian than vote Democrat. You're making it all too easy for Russia, guys. They don't have our best interest in mind. They don't love America. Putin is pissed for what they did in the 2011-2012 Russian elections. Putin blames Mitt Romney and the United States and Mitt Romney's religion. And so guess who shows up in Russia in 2013? Yeah, Elder and Sister Nelson. Because when they gave their youth conference, as Mars was right before the mouth of the goat beast constellation of Capricorn, he was rallying the youth to stay off the news, telling them to abandon their Mormon friends and go recruit as the youth battalion of parallel to Hitler's youth. And Sister Nelson was exposing all the secret ties and connections to Russia and the Compromat. And she said that they were in Russia, and she was asking the youth which tribe of Israel they were from. And said, I was amazed. Every single tribe was represented in Russia. Huh. You were in Russia, huh? Right after the elections, that Putin is pissed with America, pissed with Mitt Romney, and thus pissed with the church. And you guys go to Russia when everybody of any importance and significance is monitored for any kind of compromise. So we've got dangerous times ahead, guys. But don't be surprised if the October surprise is a surprise for Mormons.